1974. Just kidding. 1974 gave us two iconic comedy movies they are in the best comedy movies ever made in the Smithsonian, right? One of which was
Spaceballs.
1974. Was Young Frankenstein
Young
and this
Frankenstein.
other movie, Blazing Saddles. Blazing Saddles. Two movies released in the same year by the same director.
Oh, so
right?
they just squeezed them both out in the same year?
Yeah, they did.
They're
Blazing
just
Saddles
easily
came out
pushing them
first.
out.
Then we got Young Frankenstein. Two of which are in the pantheon of the greatest comedies ever made, and they both star. They both have the same star, Gene Wilder. They're all
Are they same writer though?
One of those is one of my favorite movies to watch. I can watch that
and,
over and over.
and the other is Blazing Saddles.
And the other one's Place. Yeah.
That's not to say that this movie is hilarious. This is a weird movie with the Blazing Saddles where they're able to Mel Brooks was able to blend a Western movie, right? A Western comedy that deals with and makes fun of racism.
Yes.
That's what this movie is. No matter what else happens, this movie gets crazy towards the end, but that's what leads to the charm of this movie. This movie is great. This movie is hilarious. Yeah. You get the plot is you get Sheriff Bart. He comes into town as a new sheriff, and he's a black man. That's what leads to the comedy, right?
Oh, okay. I get the jokes at first. Sorry, my bad.
Right, and in transcourse he needs his sheriff, and he becomes friends with the Waco Kid, played by Gene Wilder. Right?
He's so steady.
Look at that.
Steady as a rock.
Yeah, but I shoot with this hand.
The movie works even to this day. It's like whoever watches it, it's still a funny movie. It was released again this year in theaters, and it still made money.
50th anniversary.
50 years later, and this movie is still funny. It doesn't feel of its time. The way that this movie was written so well that you don't feel like I can watch this in 2024 now and it feels super dated. No, a lot of the jokes still land, and a lot of everything still works in this movie. That goes to show that Mel Brooks was able to write a really good movie.
Well, see,
with the help of
you can be
Rich
inappropriate
Pryor.
without being,
vulgar, super vulgar, right? Yeah. Like they took a serious subject and made fun of it. That's all it is. It's made fun of it.
I'm just my thing is I love Madeline Kahn, so I'm tired.
Oh, Madeline Kahn was up above everybody. She was
and
comedy, drama,
both of those movies,
and in both movies,
in both movies. Yeah, she got nominated for an Oscar for Blazing Saddles.
For Blazing Saddles, to think she didn't want to take the movie because she thought because Mel Brooks asked to see her legs, and she thought he was being a creep, and he was like, no, it's for the movie, and she's so there was all this whole thing about that. And she almost wasn't going to be in the movie, and then she was in the movie, and look how good her part is. She played that part great. What's it? Hedley Lamar as the villain.
Harvey Korman, another legend.
Great, great villain, and we get Dom DeLuise. Right, you get Dom DeLuise in the movie. Yeah. 5 minutes, yeah, but like in when you think about movies and you think about cameos like that. You would have never thought this movie would have had that kind of cameo, where the end of the movie spills out into the actual studio where they're making Blazing Saddles, right? You didn't think that was going to happen. There's just so much. There's so much in this movie, and it's so well done.
It breaks its own fourth wall too.
Cleavon Little.
Cleavon Little. That was supposed to be Richard Pryor, but the
also
studio
from Once Bitten.
It was almost going to be Richard Pryor, but because he couldn't be in the movie.
Who was in the Once Bitten?
He's the butler. The vampire's butler.
I almost totally forgot about that. I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
But again, Richard Pryor couldn't be in the movie, so he helped punch up.
Yeah, well, he was a liability. The studio wouldn't hire him because he was on, under the influence, and he would disappear for a time, and then Mel Brooks was talking about they were calling him because he was helping him write the movie, and they called him and they're like, "Where are you?" And he's like, "I'm in Ohio."
Yeah. And see, and that's the thing, like
We're
because you
working
get
over
Richard
here.
Pryor, you get Richard Pryor to write a lot of the jokes. You get him to write a lot of the, a lot of the stuff that has to deal with the racism against the black guys. All of it, and it's all played. It's a serious subject, and it's all played for laughs. And it's just making fun of the racism. It's making fun of, like, I think the end of the movie is making fun of, like, Hollywood. Like, a lot of it is making fun of Hollywood. There's a lot of things that are happening in this movie, and everyone in this movie, great performances.
There's iconic scenes like when Mongo punches the horse.
Hey, you can't park that animal over there. It's illegal.
Yeah.
My favorite scene, and I could not stop laughing when I rewatched it. Just rewatched it. Is when he shows up to the podium.
Excuse me while I whip this out.
Yeah. And then, but see,
stupid.
these are those movies where Mel Brooks.
That does sound like a Pryor joke too, of all things.
Yeah, it's there, and it's one of those, like, it's a weird thing. Like, isn't this where he started to use that, like, breaking the fourth wall in movies, or had he already done it before? No, he started doing it in this one, right?
Didn't he do it in History of the World?
Well, History is what is after this one.
Are you sure?
This is in 1974. History of the World was in the 1980s.
Hey, don't talk to me that way, all right?
All right.
Wow.
I mean, if you know math,
I know
the 80s are after the 70s.
You're asking for too much.
Yeah, sorry. I apologize. I apologize for hurting your brain.
If 1 plus 1 is 2, then fuck you.
All right. But like, Mel Brooks he's one of those one of a kind writer directors.
Yeah, no, because it was Producers was his first movie for sure.
So a lot of the stuff that they've done here, you still see in, like, movies now, like the jokes that are being made.
Yeah,
right. A lot of the stuff that you see.
I just do love that. We were actually having this conversation that you see the absurdity of racism. That it's so it really makes fun of the people who are racist.
Yeah,
it just makes them look like fools, because that's really what it is. How could you not like somebody just because of the way they look? Or
when he puts out the,
I mean, I don't like Ozzy certain times because the way he looks, but
yeah, but you don't like him, like Martin Luther King said, the content of his character.
That's true. That's I think that's what it is. Just makes him ugly all around. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. I love you.
Here's a dicks. I hate you all. Is it because of my voluptuous body?
But if you think about this is one of those movies in 1974, a movie that has so many racial slurs in it, right? I had a stroke. A lot of racial slurs, and in 1974 there wasn't a lot of movies that were big budget, like technically big budget and big studio movies that had that.
Did this kind of count as a big budget movie at the time?
I mean, if you think about it, I mean, it's a big production. It's a big production, and it takes and just like you said, it just makes a joke out of everything. It just makes a joke out of all that stuff.
I love also, like, near the end when when you break the fourth wall and go through those two things, kind of makes fun of the fact that they made a Western, while one of the big things that we were making are like those musicals that they're just singing in places. And it's kind of because that's all they're kind of doing. So when they run right through that thing and start fighting, that's great. It always brings me to think, man, it could have been better. It could never have been better.
Well, yeah, and if you think about it, for 1974, this movie was pushing boundaries, right? It was pushing the limits of what they can put on film and what they can say.
When they could say a lot of things too that you can't say anymore.
No, I mean, we still get that a lot. We still get all those, that stuff in the movies now. But think about it in the 70s, like people weren't.
Look at Django.
Yeah,
look at Django.
Yeah,
it can be done. It just has to be, done. It has to serve a purpose.
Be smart, and
you can't just say stuff.
Yeah, it has to be written smart. And this movie, that's what
I mean, like the Wayans brothers do. They just say things.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's what this movie has. It it makes the use of it, but it uses it in a smart way. It uses it in a way that it's not meant to offend, but to make fun of.
It's not being hateful. It's just pointing things out.
Yeah, and
the reality too of that time, and even like today.
Yeah, and the chemistry between Gene Wilder and Cleavon Little.
Oh, Cleavon is
great.
Amazing in this movie.
You don't see, unfortunately, we didn't see him much in a lot of movies after. He didn't become a huge star.
No,
but Gene Wilder, he did. Gene Wilder is
comedy god. That's what he is.
With his like every movie. If you go back through his filmography, like all of his movies, some of them might not be the greatest, but he really did really well in all the, like, his performances in all the movies that he made were great.
Well,
and the thing in Blazing Saddles,
the thing is too that Cleavon passed away really young
after Once Bitten.
That's what happens. You
I
make
mean,
a move early, Jim Carrey, and
in '92 was his last movie, but he passed away really young. That was the problem.
But even then, like was he making big movies after?
No, he was doing TV and stuff.
Yeah, so he was more of a TV star. But Gene
Wilder
made
made some of his first 3 big movies were the producers, Young Frankenstein and Blazing Saddles, all Mel Brooks.
And then he became Willy Wonka. There is no other Willy Wonka.
No,
like no matter what, he is the Willy Wonka.
Timothy Shot.
But he's Willy Wonka Jr.
No, thank you.
What is the Ace Ventura Jr. all of a sudden? What's going on?
Noodle. The performances by everyone in this movie. Like, this movie is one of those rare comedies where everyone.
You don't hate anybody in this movie.
Where everyone is hitting their marks. Everyone is hitting the jokes. Everyone, all the punchlines are landing.
Where's my froggy?
I didn't see it want to come in.
Well, look, damn your eyes, look for it. Good.
Even the dumbest of the dumbest jokes in this movie it's funny. Like the dumbed down jokes, they're funny. Everything.
Mel Brooks talked about a lot of improvisation too. So
all right, help me in with this.
Think of your secretary.
That's a very good suggestion.
That just means how funny that cast was and how comfortable they were together.
Yeah, that's really when you think about like once in a lifetime casts in movies, like you rarely get where everyone's in sync and everyone is like.
You also work with the same people you know how to work with, and you're letting them be who they are. And you guys, when you're together, it just gels.
Yeah, but think about it. Like
it's like you see movies that
Mel Brooks hadn't worked with a lot of them. He hadn't worked with Madeline Kahn.
They did.
In this movie. That Young Frankenstein is after this movie.
Yeah, because it was producers, and then he did 12 Chairs, and then he did Blazing Saddles.
He hadn't worked with a lot of people in this movie. That's the thing. But then after this, if you notice, a lot of these people are in a lot of his other movies.
Because they trusted him in the movies.
But it was after Blazing Saddles. Yeah. Like he came and he was able to pick out the right people for this movie, the right actors for this movie, not knowing if they were gonna work, but they all worked. There's nobody in this movie you're like, yeah, that was miscast. No, everyone was perfectly cast in this movie, and everyone did a great job in this movie. It's
a great movie. It's
a brilliant script with great jokes. Great direction, and that's why 50 years later it was re-released in theaters.
And this is definitely a rewatcher. It's still funny.
A lot. Every time.
You can jump in on this movie anytime and still enjoy the jokes.
Oh, it's true.
So on that note, if you haven't seen Blazing Saddles, right? Because a lot of the younger generation, of course, we're hip and people watch our show. They should watch.
1824. We're
right.
They love us apparently.
Yeah, you should watch.
This movie just brings out the fact that you have to ask yourself that one question in life.
Hey, where are the white women at?
On that note, on that note, watch Blazing Saddles. Blazing Saddles. It's a movie that I think will live forever, long after everyone in that movie is gone, because Mel Brooks is still up and running.
Yeah.
In the screening that they had a Q&A with Mel Brooks. So I would recommend, like, this movie's gonna live forever. But anytime you get a chance to watch it, if you haven't seen it, check it out.
Yep.
Blazing Saddles 50th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
This has been Vinny.
This is Ozzy.
And
We'll see you guys next time.